Now, so that part I want to understand a little bit more. When you mean build on top of it, so SoFi says, okay, here's this platform in which you can, if you are a fintech company that needs financial services as a core part of your offering to the end consumer, you build on top of this. The way I understand AWS is like we're selling compute. So any company that needs to store data can just use AWS, and they have these like warehouses, which is the infrastructure. What does it mean to build on top of Galileo? Is there any like examples of like what that actually looks like?
Galileo isn't like the best example, but Technisys is. I know more about Galileo than Technisys, because Technisys was just bought like over 200 days ago. So it's like fairly new. Galileo was started in the 90s by the CEO named Clay Wilkes, and it's his love child. He made this for 20 years. And what Galileo is a way to process debit card transactions. That's not the full extent of their business, but that's the most popular one right now. And make it really easy for me. Like, so Robinhood is an actual user of Galileo technologies. Robinhood tried to vertically integrate the past 10 years to make like an awesome financial product for people that is better than most of the banks could offer. And what they try to do is they try to do as much as stuff they can themselves, but then they get to the debit card issuing thing, and there's a whole list of litany of problems when it comes to regulatory problems with issuing debit cards. There's a lot of fraud stuff that you have to worry about. Yeah. So if you're a fintech company and you issue a debit card to one of your users and they misuse that, you got to protect yourself legally, because the government will come after you and shut down your operation as quickly as possible. Right. Galileo built a bunch of APIs, which are basically
application programming interfaces.
Yeah, you know what APIs are better than I do, but basically Galileo over the past 20 years has made it super, super easy for a fintech company to be like, hey, can we offer debit cards? Yeah, let's just go to Galileo and they'll do everything for us. The cool part about that is now SoFi technically is like an ETF of fintech, because everybody uses Galileo, and anytime a Robinhood user swipes their debit card, SoFi makes money. So like you kind of diversify over fintech in general, but it's not a lot of money right now. But
just like anytime someone watches something on Netflix, Amazon makes money, because
exactly that's 100% the point that when we make about SoFi being the AWS of fintech, that's exactly it.
Did they buy Galileo, or how did this happen?
Yes, Galileo was bought by SoFi. Technisys is a little different though. So what Technisys is okay. So let's back up. Let's go back to JP Morgan in the 1990s. JP Morgan tries to build software, right? They're like, okay, we need to issue loans. Let's build software around the loans. Okay, we need to do like some mortgage stuff. Let's build software for this. And then they have like investing. They have like their own proprietary software for that. But what Technisys does is, okay, so like actually, whenever I go to JP Morgan and apply for a loan, their software silo takes care of that. And it goes through this like really archaic thing and makes sure that they're not breaking any laws when it comes to the government and fraud and all this stuff. And they make it like, so when I go to JP Morgan and apply for a loan, my information goes into that silo of software, but it never communicates with the other parts of the software that is relevant. So SoFi is eliminating that by making like just one big silo of software that can communicate back and forth. So for instance, if I have a checking account with SoFi and I apply for a loan, immediately they could be like, hey, this guy has enough money in the bank to cover this loan like ×2 or ×3. So yeah, let's give him this loan. Let's not worry about his FICO score too much. It looks like he's having enough income every week to like pay for this loan. So let's ignore his credit score and we'll just give him the loan. And that opens up more opportunities for SoFi to like, issue credit. Or another example would be like, okay, this guy has a Pornhub subscription. What do we know about Pornhub subscription users? They have bad debt, a lot of them, or just there's a lot of ways that if you know Palantir, you can derive a lot of unique data points about certain things. So
by the way,
yeah.
Pornhub is the 7th most visited website on the planet. I just found that out 10 days ago, so I just wanted to let you know that. People like consuming that on the internet.
I honestly didn't think I was going to be bringing that up, but it just came to my mind.
So Technesis then provides for sort of a data element to SoFi.
Yes.
In
More
terms of
like
understanding user behavior and what they're doing on the internet with subscriptions.
yes. So more so data than Galileo. Galileo is more of like APIs when it comes to like transaction. Technesis is more of like Lego blocks is the best explanation for Technesis. Technesis is like, okay, if you're a fintech company and you want to like start a checking account, here, we'll give you that. But also whenever you're ready and you want to start lending loans out to your fintech users on your platform, we have this little Lego block that will plug in right to what you already have with us. And it'll make it really easy. So you can vertically integrate super quickly. So in the future, the way that banking might change, I don't know. But what it could change is it makes it so easy to start up a fintech business. Like right now you have Idea. Imagine trying to make Idea in the 90s.
Right.
That sounds like insane. Like that sounds so hard. You probably use a lot of APIs and applications to do a lot of the work for you on your company, like sending emails in bulk and managing a lot of stuff.
AWS is a big part of it.
Exactly. So what about banking? Banking, the platform as it is right now, it's really hard because if I'm from Robinhood in the last 20 years, I had to like make deals with banks and ask them, hey, can I build like software to integrate into your bank and use your bank as because like if Robinhood just used banks as it was, like if Robinhood used JP Morgan would have been a huge bottleneck to their like business because moving money in and out wouldn't have been as easy and quick as it needs to be, you know?
Right. This is starting to actually make a lot more sense to me. And it's good you brought my startup into the mix here. My startup is a platform where people upload content. And in order for that to happen, there needs to be storage of that content. And so what AWS does is it creates an interface and a backend that lets you just store that content for cents. I mean, like pennies. People it's like $200 a month for
it's insane. Oh my gosh. Like that point that you brought up is just insane because like AWS has changed everything. And what I like to think of what AWS did to like companies is like, if you try to build a company in 2008 compared to when you try to build a company in 2018, it's incredibly different. Like on the coding basis, you'd have to like 2018, there's a bunch of software and like tools you could use to build your company, make it really cheap for you to get going. But like back then it was a lot harder. So what Amazon did was build the very bottom layer of the pyramid so people can build their companies higher. What SoFi is doing is only trying to solve the hard problems of getting banking on that first platform level. And that's what they're trying to do. So people in the future can build on top of it. So one day you can be like, I'm going to start a bank, but it's only going to be for my church.
Right.
Like I want to do like a bank for my church or my like study group or like, I know that's really a bad example, but like you could make a bank with only 130 people in it and I don't know, compete with people that are doing banks that have much more people. And if like you start growing, you can start adding stuff, but it's like a Lego block system,
Making a fintech is difficult. And like, I think that's where it kind of clicked for me. Like making a content sharing platform, you need content and you need it to be stored. Boom, AWS. Making a fintech startup, I mean, there's the regulations, all that. So if SoFi could create Galileo could scale Galileo as an ability for companies to be able to build on top of that makes a lot of sense to me. Now, a question there, and maybe you know a little bit about this more than me. Do you see a world in the next 10, 20 years where there are many, many, many fintech startups, just like there's many content sharing platforms or platforms that need like database storage, that would actually want to start in a much more easier way because they see Galileo as like an operating system for them to just get up and running?
Yeah. So of course it's the friction. So like anybody can have an idea. The ones that take action on that idea are the ones that are going to be successful. Like I have an idea for like flying cars. Doesn't mean like I get credit for making flying cars. It's just I think the easier that SoFi can make this blanket bottom of the pyramid software and make it easy for you to start like a fintech company, the ideas are limitless. Like Affirm is a great company. It's like a great company. I would never invest in the stock. It's a great company though. Like the thing, like they took an idea that was 2000 years old and just implemented it with software and made it really user friendly to where like they can just provide interest free loans to anybody that wants one, and then let the people that the product that they're buying, that they foot the bill for the loan, just to like provide more liquidity. But I don't know. There could be like a ton of different like new types of fintech products that come out in the next 10 years that I just can't imagine, you know.
Is that the real bull case for SoFi for you? This AWS of fintech, that's the thing where you see it's big.
Yes. So it's like Amazon and Costco. So if you go to Future Investing, the guy that you had on before, he knows way more about like the actual numbers than I do. But like when it comes to 20 years from now, I think of SoFi being a data monopoly. Because if you look at like all of the best companies in the like the US stock market, they're all data monopolies. What happens when all these banks are built on a single core and they move over to SoFi's platform, and then SoFi can like, okay, so here's a question. JP Morgan manages most of the money in this country.
Yep.
Like compared to everybody else, most of the money. Why don't they have like really insightful data into the US economy? Like SoFi, the way that SoFi is vertically integrating this platform of software, they're going to be able to have way more unique data. Like if you know anything about Palantir and what they're doing to AWS, like you're gonna like Wejo can like look at all of these cars live, millions of cars. That's like technically impossible 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in the future, SoFi, if they operate correctly, and I'm not a SoFi like bull, they could well possibly be the Yahoo compared to Google. Some fintech can like come out of nowhere and like do what SoFi is doing. SoFi is the only one manifesting all that I see right now, like correctly. But imagine in a world where SoFi in 20 years can just be like, okay, we can look at all the data of the people on our platform, our SoFi members, and also all the banks that we support this software to. We can see what people are doing. Oh, like you can derive data on a massive scale and way more defined, like and smaller and pinpoint types of data that JP Morgan can never do because they're in those silos of software. You know what I mean? And they don't necessarily talk to each other. So it's just like, it's hard to imagine, but it could be just insane.